Episode 180 of the HHH Racing Podcast is brought to you by the Adelphi Racing Club. The Adelphi Racing Club is a partnership in every sense of the word, not a syndicate, and our members are treated like partners, not investors. If you're interested in joining a group of like-minded individuals and having a truly interactive ownership experience, we are the right fit for you. Adelphi offers a variety of partnership options, including yearlings, 2-year-olds in training, private purchase, and claiming options. Join the Adelphi Racing Club today, and as you can see on the bottom of the screen, to get in touch with the Adelphi Racing Club and racing manager Matt Cutier, there's the website information, his email, Instagram, and Twitter. And now, let's start 180 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Good evening and welcome to episode 180 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us on what will be an amazing show tonight, because this Saturday, whoa, is there a card of cards? It's Penn Derby Day. It's the Cotillion. It's an unbelievable day of racing at Parx, and we are here to cover it like a glove. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. You guys know what to do. Please smash that like button. We'd really appreciate it. That'll tell YouTube this is a fantastic podcast. And then also hit that notification bell so that you know when new content will arrive. Of course, you can see on the bottom of my screen my Twitter handle at @HKravitz, and on the scroll at the bottom of the screen, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com is my email address. You can also listen to us, of course, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. We'd highly appreciate if you do that. Also, little new information. We now have something called Power Picks. Yes, it used to be called the Race Day Blog. It is now called our Power Picks. It is our tip sheet. It's only $15.99 per month. I would recommend, however, that if you're interested in purchasing the Power Picks, you actually wait until next weekend, because at the beginning of every month, Patreon, who's our third-party payment center, does automatically charge everyone on the first of every month. So it'd probably be a good idea to hold off purchasing that our Power Picks until not this weekend, but the weekend after as well. And then, of course, we have a fantastic website. You can information about the podcast at hhhracingpodcast.com. All right, let me bring on one of my co-hosts. We have one co-host tonight, Paul Halloran. I do not believe will be with us tonight. He has a very exciting family engagement, actually, that we can talk about for a second. But let me bring on my very trusty co-host from Maryland, who will be helping us through tonight's very difficult Pick 5 sequence. It is the one and only Pete Visco. Pete, how you doing tonight?
What's going on, Howard? How's it going, man?
How did that Pick 5 at Parx this weekend? Whoa, we have got a show tonight.
It's a good one. Yeah, there's some deep field. I think when I was doing my initial run at the Pick 5 ABC bracket, I had about a $900 ticket. So needless to say, need to make some cuts, but we'll see if we can get some good. Hopefully, we can cut down and come up with some good opinions tonight with our awesome guests.
Well, I think Paul's initial ticket was like $288, and then he cut it down to $54. I'm feeling our guests that have been coming on would also prefer to have it bigger than a $50 ticket. But knowing those guys, they're going to be firing their own tickets much bigger than $50, especially one guy, I know for sure. But we'll get to that, because I had firsthand knowledge of this guy. He will be firing for sure. So, Pete, again, Paul Halloran, of course, our wonderful co-host. You want to tell the whole world what he's going on tonight with his wife? Pretty exciting.
Yeah, she's getting, actually, I forget the details. I know she's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Was it the high school? Because she's a basketball coach. Is that correct?
That's exactly
I don't remember the high school name. I know he had it in his text, but it's an awesome honor, and we're really happy for Paul. We're happy for his wife. I hope he's having a great night watching her just be honored in that way.
Listen, anytime you're in any Hall of Fame, I don't care if it's
I mean,
local
I
high
don't care.
school or
Yeah, yeah.
NFL, that's pretty cool. Christine, hello. Thanks for joining the show. Again, we're going to have a big
Christine.
viewership tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure, type comments in the chat, top right-hand corner of your screen if you're on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter or some other avenue, I recommend you go ahead to YouTube and watch it on our YouTube channel, because that way you can engage in our live chat. Of course, we got Penn State Scott, Philly in the house. Wow, we already got a Sixers fan, Eagles, Flyers. They're all here. I know our guests are going to love that. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fans from Philadelphia. Pete, let's not waste any time. Let's bring these guys on. They've been very
Let's do
patient.
it.
One of these guests I met for the first time at Saratoga. He was on my trip at Saratoga Springs with Brad Anderson and Matt Miller. Had a great time. What a fantastic guy. I'd known a lot about him, but I had a chance to meet him for the first time. And we got another young pup. No, it's not Kyle Roscoe. We got another younger generation, excellent handicapper who I found out through InTheMoneyMedia and through Twitter. And I'm really excited to have him. So let's not bury the lead. Let's bring these guys on right now, Pete. First, we're going to go age before beauty. Let's bring on first. We got two guys in Philly. Again, fantastic handicapper, met him at Saratoga, longtime contest player, very knowledgeable, everything about horse racing. Mr. Joe Metka. Joe, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, Howard. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey, Joe.
And
Hey,
let's
Pete.
bring on the young pup, the guy that has all that knowledge with the younger viewers, does a fantastic job with In the Money Media and Pierre Thomas Fornatel, really making a name for himself on Twitter with some excellent picks. Let's bring him on, Andrew Rdesinski. Andrew, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Joe and Andrew, this card, I know you guys are excited being Philly guys, and I mean every Penn Derby card is good, and we've all been betting them for a very long time. Oh, we got Brad Anderson. There you go, Joe. But Andrew, Joe, I'll start with you first. This card, not only is it 13 races, big fields. This is one of the better Penn Derby cards I think I've ever seen, to be honest.
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's stacked from, race 1 all the way through 13. I mean, we have huge fields. We have some great, really nice turf racing. It's just an unbelievable card. And, there's going to be a lot of spots to I think make some nice money on the card today, on the card on Saturday.
For sure. Andrew, talk a little about yourself really quickly. I gave a little intro of people that are not familiar with you. And Joe, I'll have you do the same in just a moment.
Sure.
Yeah. I wasn't I'm first generation when it comes to like anything in the industry wise, but my parents were, big horse racing fans, grew up around. I was born 5 minutes away from Parx, so I've been there since it was Philadelphia Park. But yeah, I started being a jockey agent at 18 back in 2017. Did that for 9-10 months, tried it out and whatnot. But I was a little bit too young to be, really getting any type of business. But since then, kept the connections, build up some friendships and whatnot. I've done some hot walking in Delaware, and I've been kind of just handicapping every year since I was a senior in high school, but I was 18. Once I turned 18, Dan Troyman gave me a shot on his website, and I was doing West Coast stuff for him for a little bit, then moved over to the Daily Gallop, and then I moved over to InTheMoneyMedia. Currently doing the last couple of days of a partnership with Stable Duel for the Road to the Pennsylvania Derby. Which, if you need any information about that, you can always hit me up on Twitter. There's a big game on Saturday, but other than that, we'll just, I'm just here to handicap, and I like doing that. And I want to become, something bigger in the rankings as it goes, as time goes, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm excited for Saturday.
Well, we're happy to help you, Andrew. Hopefully this show, we started from literally nothing a year and a half ago to over 150,000 views on this YouTube channel. We've had a lot of famous guests on and some excellent handicappers. So, and I, of course, was have some relationship with Peter Thomas Fortentel and the Money Media as well. So that train continues. And you might want to, Andrew, you might want to lower your camera just a tad bit because
Oh, yeah, I got
your
you.
name tag is, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's good. There we go.
Yep.
Joe, again, for you've been around, you're an old guy like me. You have a lot more experience with contest play than I do. Tell
Yeah.
everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been in horse racing, I guess 25 years now. I got in it the harness way, actually. I was an owner in harness horses right about when Chester opened up. I was with a group of people that had started buying some horses, and we had some great success. I loved it, and started making some friends up at Parx and everything else. And because Parx is my home track, and once we got casinos, everyone was like, get rid of the harness horses and let's start buying thoroughbreds. And that's what I did for 10, 12 years. I owned them for a while until, unfortunately, my trainer Chris Landesini passed away, and I haven't really gotten back into it. But on the gambling end, yeah, I've been betting on horses for, like I said, almost 25 years now. I've had some success in the contest world, as you said. I won the 2018 World Horse Players Tour, so I do have that feather in my cap. And I enjoy the challenge that it brings. And my play has lessened a little bit in the years. I work for my family's law firm, so that really takes up a lot more time now that we're growing and expanding. But I always have the races on, and I'm always watching, and I just love it.
And I can say firsthand, Joe's an excellent handicapper. We'd spent many time at Saratoga betting, and Saratoga is very tough, so we had our ups and downs, and had a few. Literally, you talk about working in the industry. We had our own little hot walk
Yeah.
during the Saratoga trip, didn't we? It was
We
a
did.
little steamy that weekend.
Oh, that was brutal that one day. Oh,
that was bad.
Oh my God.
All right, guys. Anyway, we've got a lot of people watching, and everyone grab your paper, grab your pen and pencils, because this pick five is outstanding. Now, before we get into pick five, guys, we're just going to very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, talk about race 8. I'm going to bring up the Equibase entries for race 8. Race 8, let me go ahead and bring that up right now, guys, is outside of what they call the Philly 5, the Big Philly 5, which is a mandatory pick 5 payout. There's already 100,000 plus in the kitty. But this first race we're going to talk about very briefly is a nice stake race just before the pick 5 starts. It's race 8. Let me go ahead and bring that up right now, guys. Here's the entries. And Joe, we're going to have you start. In fact, I don't even think I want to bring up the PPs for this, guys, because I do want to do this quickly. But race 8 is the marathon race. It's $200,000. They're going a mile and a half on the dirt. It's a grade 3. There's a pretty strong favorite here as I bring up. It's a 9-horse field. I can't quite get everyone on the screen. That's okay. It's a 9-horse field. Big favorite is Pletcher and Saya as the number 8 Fearless. Yeah. What's your opinions, Joe, on this race 8?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Fearless's race to lose, really. I mean, he's just had some beautiful races the last two, the last 2 stake races, especially the last one at Saratoga was such a nice win for him. I mean, there's, when you get a mile and a half race, really anything can happen. But, sure. I do like Fearless. Maybe the 7, the Reds, can sure. pop a race like he ran last time.
I'll go ahead and bring up the PPs. Go ahead as we're talking.
Yeah. The other one with maybe, I don't know, throw a flyer out there, maybe the 5 riding with Biden, with the butchery trained horse. I mean, I think this is going to be all Fearless. I really, really liked his last race, and I just think it's his race to lose here.
Is it that simple, Andrew? Just go with the favorite and move on?
Yeah, I have in any type of horizontal sequence, I have Fearless as a single here. But I do like the Reds underneath. I think if for some reason Fearless doesn't fire today, the Reds is definitely the horse I would want. I just don't know if the Reds could definitely get the distance. But I do think the Reds likes, the further the ground, the better. He seems like kind of like a not one pace, but more like a grinder.
Yeah.
And if he in Parx, if you're a grinder, you get lucky sometimes. But I do like actually the horse outside of Fearless, which is Forewarned. Local horse, but another one that's a grinder, and definitely the further the distance, the better for this horse. It's a little outclassed, but I mean, he's ran in, good, tough races. And I know that I was talking to Uriah St. Louis Jr. yesterday at the races, and he thinks Fearless is definitely the horse that he's going to be the one to beat in that race, but he definitely thinks that he has a shot. So it's a good note to have. Forewarned does like Parx, definitely likes a deep track, which is what Parx is. So I think Forewarned definitely has a shot underneath at a decent price.
Yeah, and if you're going to use a bomb, Uriah's the trainer to use at Parx. Sorry, Howard, for stepping on your.
No. This is exactly why we have Joe and Andrew on the show, guys. These are Philly guys. They talk to the ins and outs. Actually, Andrew just talked to track announcer Chris Griffin apparently today. So these guys know Parx better than Pete and I do. That's why we have you guys on the show. Pete, is it Fearless for you here?
Yeah, I wasn't too different. I sort of liked Fearless. Okay. And then I mentioned in my own picks was Riding with Biden a little bit in second. And then I would just mention Magic Michael as a horse for the course, 9 out of 10 wins at Parx, has won at the distance with a nice
Wait, can
buyer.
you repeat that again? You just glossed over that stat like it's no big deal.
Well, I figure that's a stat that everybody could see. So I didn't think it was all that.
Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 with a second at Parx and a win with a 92 buyer at the distance. So I figure, I'm a horse for course kind of person, and it's Ness Pennington combo, which is always tough. So second choice, I guess. So you're not really, I think second choice. So I'm not really breaking any ground there about that one either.
He won the Greenwood Cup last year, and I don't know what you thought, Joe and Andrew. I thought this was a much tougher edition this year, especially with a horse like Fearless. Everyone's looking at last year's Greenwood Cup, which used to be sort of a prep for the Breeders' Cup Marathon. I don't know if they're running a marathon race this year, the Breeders' Cup. It used to be actually a Breeders' Cup race. They've taken away the last few years. But anyway, it's always a nice race. My point being, I think this is a tougher field. Guys, I'm going with Fearless also. But I sort of agree with a few of you. I think Riding with Biden would be my long shot play in this race. I think speed plays well in these distance races. I think it's counterintuitive, guys, that people believe, well, they're going 1.5 miles, so we need closers. Just like everyone that thinks the Belmont cast to be won by a closer, right? I think Riding with Biden will sit right off of the 6, who is a no-hoper in my opinion, but has speed. And I don't know who's riding. Do you know who's riding with Biden, Andrew? Have you heard anything?
No, I know a couple of the horses that were on the early PPs that came out Monday night that didn't have any riders. They did get added riders on the updated form, but as of now, I believe Riding with Biden is still without a jockey. So it might scratch. They might point it somewhere else. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if like a local jockey gets on the horse that might not be riding. I don't know if like Ruben Silvera or something like that's in this race. So maybe they get somebody like that. So we'll see.
I mean, that's a bit of a negative for me. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but Cash is King LLC, they're very good out there. Robert Reed is an excellent trainer. I think Riding with Biden is interesting, but I think we'd all agree that certainly the horse to beat here would be the number 8 Fearless.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, Howard. I don't know why a jock hasn't been named on this horse yet. Especially with those connections. Like Andrew said, maybe he's going to scratch. I don't know. It's a little strange, but like I said, especially with the connections.
Yeah, I do find that strange. All right, guys, let's get into this Big Philly Pick 5. Now, Joe, I'm going to have you talk first, and Andrew, you can piggyback off anything Joe says. As I click a few buttons here, Joe, can you talk about Parx surface, the dirt surface itself, your experience on this particular day, your guess as to what might happen on Saturday? I know often, sometimes speed holds well, but I've seen speed hold well like in the 3 and 4 path. It can be tricky, Joe, right? You really got to pay attention. Would you agree?
You do. I mean, how much are they going to water the track and everything else before the big race? Look, like Andrew said, it's a deep cuppy track, and it's a straight grinder track. And you better be fit when you run on this surface. And yeah, it's speed favoring. I mean, it's just you've got to be fit. or you're going to be in trouble. It's just a tiring track, and yeah, speed could hold. You're going to have to watch the early races to see, if the rail's dead, if you're going to have to go into 3 or 4 path. It's going to be very telling within the first couple of races. And, I don't advise you to put your pick 5 tickets in, first thing in the morning. I would definitely watch those first couple of races to see how the track is playing, is playing out.
Andrew, your thoughts overall, and if you could just talk about the turf course a little bit also there, because there are 2 races in the pick 5 on the turf, Andrew.
Yeah. Well, I was up to the racetrack the last 2 weeks, almost every race day, for at least a couple races to see, like, kind of try to fill it out and see how everything's playing. I know that I believe it was Wednesday morning at some point they did put a little bit of water on the surface of the dirt course, and it was definitely a little tighter Wednesday than it was the day before or Monday. But the last, I would say, the whole month of September, really, if you're not on a fast course, on a fast dirt course, if you're not 3 to 4 lengths from the leader turning for home, you have no shot. And it's not necessarily like the horses are, getting easy leads, because I've seen horses go 22-44 and then still have enough at the tank and nobody's catching up. So, and those are cheap horses, not these grade 1 caliber horses. But it really is all about positioning at Parx. Every jockey will tell you that if you don't break out of the gate, you're pretty much done at Parx. So the turf course, the one turf race I watched yesterday, I watched in person, and it was basically the 2 front runners wearing 1-2 all the way around. The rail horse, or the horse that was on the lead, kind of blew the turn, but not by a lot, but opened up the rail. The horse that was on the rail ended up winning. The horse that was on the lead still held on for second for about maybe 2 lengths. So yeah, I think that everything, you kind of just want to be forwardly placed at Parx right now, and that's pretty much that's the telltale story there.
Okay, well, everyone they did get a little bit of rain this morning, and we'll see how that affects anything. But as usual, ladies and gentlemen, watch the races early. You got to do your deep dive. You got to do your homework and take a look at it, especially, of course, on the dirt. All right, so guys, Joe and Andrew, on the bottom of the screen, you see our picks, all of our picks. Now, for those of you watching at home, I do have Paul Halloran's picks there. You can see Paul at the end, although he's our other wonderful co-host, as people know, watch the show. He is not going to be with us tonight, but he did send in his picks, so you guys can see where we're going here. Let's go ahead and talk about the first race, guys, of the Big Philly 5, which now has a mandatory payout. It's a jackpot bet, but it's a mandatory payout this Saturday. So basically, guys, you got $100,000 plus carryover of a pick 5 plus a big day. Guys, I'd venture to say this might be the biggest pick 5 for one in the history of Parx Racing. The handle is going to be off the charts this weekend. So this is a pick 5 that you absolutely should be diving into. Let's take a look at the first leg of the Big Philly pick 5. It's a turf monster. It's a grade 3. It's one of 2 races on turf. They're going 5 furlongs, a nice purse, $300,000. There's a chance we might see some of these, or maybe 1 or 2 of them go to the Breeders' Cup turf. As I'm rolling down here, it's a big field there. The favorite comes from the rail, a very fast horse, the number 1. That's right, for Moore and Hernandez, 3-1 morning line. Joe, you're going to go first, though. You're going to go with the 4, Nothing Better, for a very underrated trainer, and Luis Saez.
Yeah, this horse in his last race, I just got into he got into a little bit of trouble in the beginning. Look, I think this horse is a little better than the 1. I know the 1 had up until its last race, the 1 was monstrous. But Nothing Better just seemed to, he seemed to keep going on. I know he was second, but it looked like he had no room to go. And I think that was his problem. I'm hoping that he gets a better start, maybe sitting 3rd, 4th, right off the leader on the outside. And, I'm hoping that he can finish up for us here.
Yeah, I think he's going to definitely be tough. Seems like a very trip dependent race. Joe, how do you feel about turnbacks in general with turf horses?
I'm not for or against them, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't see it as a big, more of a plus than a minus. So
okay. This is the one I'm going with also. Do you want to quickly talk about the two, your second choice, Surprise Boss for Rafael Rohena and Irad coming to ride this weekend?
Yeah, I was a little, I was back and forth on who to make second here. I think this is a really nice horse. It's it's the first start for
Yeah,
this trainer.
yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, he's a nice horse. I don't like Kendrick not being on.
Okay.
But
Wow.
look, Irad's a
That's
huge, no, that's a big, certain horses fit
no, I
Kendrick.
get you.
And look, Irad, yes, is of course better than Kendrick, but I just think certain horses fit Kendrick. I don't know. I'm torn on this horse, to be honest with you. I really
Okay.
am. And I was back and forth on who to make my second pick. So
Yeah, the 1 for 34 this meet doesn't exactly get me excited with this trainer, but the fact that Irad's on this horse, that's got he's going to take some money. That perks my interest at least a little bit. Andrew, you're going with the rail horse. That's right. Again, for more, and I think it's Andy Hernandez. Correct. I'm sorry if
Mhm.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah. This horse is just fast, fast, fast. Has the rail. You don't have to be a genius to ride this horse, Andrew. Just tell him to go basically as fast as you can, as long as you can. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think That's Right is definitely, in my opinion, the horse to beat.
Okay.
But I think that I'm going to piggyback off of what you guys have, which is my top three is 1, 4, 2 here. I like That's Right the most. I think that the horse can definitely get out of the gate quicker than most of these horses, and in a sprint, especially one like the Turf Monster, it's it's a race where you have to be forwardly placed. It's always
Yeah.
been that way. It's always going to be that way. Um, and I think that Andy Hernandez has been riding really well at Parx, and he's finally found his own. After his apprenticeship, he's still carrying on that good journeyman, style of riding. Mike Moore is a great Parx trainer. And I think this horse has a good shot. I think if he gets a lead, he's the one to beat. And I also like the 2 and the 4 to go to the 2 about how Kendrick's not riding. Kendrick's riding at Pimlico all weekend,
right,
on Saturday. So that's why he's not here. He has a couple good horses over there that he opted to choose to go ride for. But the only negative thing I have about the 2 is that this was a former Juan Vasquez horse. I was at Belmont the day that he actually won on the 4th of June, which that horse ran really good that day. Kendrick was really high on the horse that day, got up. But since then, I mean, they tried some stakes, held his own. He didn't do too bad. He ran really well.
Yeah.
But I just not being in the Juan Vasquez barn, numbers are slowly dropping. I know a lot of the Richie World stables horses, which were a lot for Juan Vasquez, went to Rafael Rohena. So I expect his numbers to go up with just mounts or just entries in general. I know he's had a couple more entries than usual because of that. But I don't think that this horse is going to be able to get the lead that he wants or even sit to the spot that he wants. But if he does, it's going to be because Irad Ortiz is the jockey.
Yeah. I think the 1 is naturally a bit faster. I'm feeling Irad's going to sit in the pocket, Andrew, and maybe try to make that explosion late. Pete, let's talk about 2 horses that we think are interesting. You are going with Pete's price shopping. He's going to the ocean because he's got Boats of Rockin', who is turning back. And take a look at the fractions, everyone. Now, I watched that race. Penn National was like a freaking highway in August. I mean, that turf was super fast, but I don't care how fast that turf is, Pete. 21-2, 43-4, and almost held on. And now he's turning back. I mean, this is another speed horse that you like on top.
Yeah, and not being super creative about it. It's similar to that. I mean, I think he needs to take a step forward, figure wise and speed wise. But I do think I like the cutback in this case. I'm sort of with Joseph, where I'm not married to a cutback is great or a cutback is no good. I'm not married to it either way. But I think in this case, this one does have a lot of speed. has run at the track, and since he's been on, every time he's in his turf races, you look at him, he's 12 out of 15, 8 wins. He likes the distance, so he's cut back before and won.
Yeah.
You see the 4 for 4 in the top 2 there. And I sort of like the 1 and the 4, which are, it's a little bit chalky. So I'm like, well, let me see if there's a horse that I like at a price that I could also put on the ticket. And this is the one that sort of jumped out to me. I mean, he looks a little bit like a need to lead type, which might be tough in this race because that's right on the rail and there's a ton of speed in here. But maybe if this one, because of his recent routing form, can hold out a little longer and it'll be a little bit, maybe he could sit just a touch off being in the outside post and then hopefully have a little bit left late at a price, which would even be better.
I have a creative opinion too. I want to bring this up. For those of you that didn't watch last week, I did have the pick 5 with not only my $50 play on the show, but also a caveman that I gave out on the Power Picks and also an ABC on the Power Picks at Woodbine. So I'm going to try to make it 2 in a row here. Have we heard of the other Duarte? How about the other Duarte, the number 12? Grooms all business. We've said there's a lot of speed in this race, right, guys? I mean, the 1's got to go. The 4 is not going to be that far. The 2 is up close. The 7. Someone's got to close in this race. And I want to show the race 2 back against That's Right. And Joe, I'd like to hear your opinion. That's Right. This is, again, 2 back. That's Right here is the 5. And the horse I like, who's the 12 on Saturday, Grooms All Business, is the 4. I thought the 4 got a really sneaky bad trip here. I'm going to go and fast forward it. The 4 you see is right there. He's actually on the outside, and he's a little bit wide. Right here, there is a little bit of a bend. He's in between horses and in the 4 path. So right there, that's not the best place to be already. Now he goes to the inside. Let me fast forward, and you can see he's going to make a move in the lane. He's right here, and he had to wait a little bit, and he does make a move. He's on the wrong lead a little bit, but he does make a move. That's Right is obviously here and completely gone. But he does close, and I don't think That's Right is going to be this kind of lead. And he closes and he gallops out. Well, Joe, if there's sort of a bomber that could win this race closing, I think the other Duarte, as we watch the gallop out, is a bit interesting. Your thoughts, Joe?
Here
he is right here, galloping out past That's Right. Although this is, by the way, that's one-timer. Pete, that's one-timer right there.
I have that in my note, and I'm so happy that you picked this horse. So I actually remembered to look at my note for the Matt Miller special. So I don't know, Joseph and Andrew on a show for that last race. Howard was improved,
Joe, but it's a live race.
Howard was very against one-timer and sort of embarrassed himself. And Matt Miller, when Matt Miller said one-timer was his horse, and Howard said this horse has no shot to win. So we had a whole little thing with Matt about it on our show last week or the week before, whatever. So I was happy to see him in the PPs, and even happier that you picked this horse.
I think you're right, Howard. I mean, that's sort of why I didn't have That's Right as a top choice. He's not going to get I don't think he's going to get an easy lead. And
I agree.
Look, he could probably still out sprint them, but I don't know. I just think he's going to have to work. And 100%, if you're looking for a closer, I wouldn't mind having that horse on my ticket at all. Yeah. My only fear is That's Right's not going to get an easy lead.
I agree that I respect Andrew and anyone else who thinks the 1. I mean, obviously the 1 can win. For me to say the 1 can't win is 100%. Stupid. But I mean, he's not going to take pace pressure in this race? I mean, I have a hard time believing he's just going to get free. Andrew, any thoughts on the 12, or am I just this crazy dude who has his own podcast? I don't know.
Well, we still have to figure out who's going to ride the 12, which is another thing, with having him or Duarte having 2 horses in the field. You never know. He might not send the 1. It depends. But I definitely see what you guys are saying with definitely having a closer, type kick. To piggyback on the 7, the owners for the 7 actually are very good owners and friends with the trainer of the 1. So they have a little friendly rivalry probably going on there with that. So I can definitely see both those horses possibly even linking up on a duel down the backside going into the turn. But I think it's between the 1, 2, and the 4. The 2 can sit off, the 4 can sit off. The 1's going to go to lead. I like my options.
Well,
Yeah.
that's my concern with the one really is if he gets into a duel, I don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
The 2 or the 4 could be sitting right there.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What was it? Hollywood Talent? Was that the name, the 50-1 shot that won was a few years ago
Well,
that blew up my pick 5? And is that the
it
name of the
wasn't
horse,
the most
guys?
legitimate horse,
Right.
so
Well, yeah.
Well, I understand, but the guys I hate turf
hey,
sprints. I do not like turf sprints. I've said it on the show a bunch of times. I have to go deep in this race, guys. All right, let's go to race 10, the Gallon Bob. You want to talk about a deep race? Holy crap! These first
Yeah.
two race, this to me was the toughest race on the pick 5, in my personal opinion. You could go very deep in this race. Let's go ahead and you guys see the picks on the bottom of the screen. All you have to do is look at the picks on the bottom of the screen, and you know how difficult a race we feel it is because we've got numbers all over the freaking place. It's a grade 2, $300,000 again. It's restricted for 3-year-olds, 6 furlongs. I can't even get every horse on the screen here because it is a huge 14 horse field, as we can see right here. The morning line favorite, I believe, is the 3. Yeah, is the 3. I know a horse that Pete wants to talk about. The number 3, Provocateur for Pletcher and Irad. Andrew, we'll have you go first this time. You're going to go all the way the hell to the outside with the number 14, Scaramouche for Preciado, and Johnny Velasquez coming in to ride this weekend.
yeah, I'm not too keen on the post position, but if it was anywhere in between, I don't know, post 3 to 10, I probably would be singling this horse. That's how much I like
Whoa.
it.
Wow.
This horse
Okay.
is the definition of a Park specialist. 5 or 6 at Parks. The one loss came at Laurel. The other loss came at Aqueduct. And then there was one more loss, which I don't know exactly where that was, but it was early on in the career anyway. But Johnny V comes to ride the horse. The numbers are consistent and steadily, good. Doesn't need the lead, so doesn't need to be rushed out right away out the post. Can probably sit 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th, make his one run. But he's going to be forwardly placed to an extent. I just really like this horse. I've always liked this horse. This horse has always showed up. He can come out wide out the turn and still go by horses, which is a thing that you like at Parks. But then I also liked Provocateur, which we'll get into later, as another horse that I like. And I really like the 11 Nakatomi. Wesley Ward has a good shot with this horse. Joel Rosario, I believe, comes in to ride it. The horse is just really, really doing good. Never ran at Parks, which is sometimes can be an issue, but everywhere this horse has shipped out inside the states has been good. And that's all you really need to see. Then around a 90 to 93 buyer probably can win this race.
Yeah, I like Nakatomi just because I'm a big fan of Die Hard movies, and of course the famous Nakatomi Plaza. How can you go against that with Bruce Willis and the gang saving the world as usual? No, but I think this horse is interesting for sure. Let's talk about. Let's see, Joe, you're gonna go with some outside horses also. You have Nakatomi in second, so and I have him on top. Do you want to talk more about Nakatomi or just go right at like Larry here, who's a horse that still pisses me off because I lost when Chantel beat me at Gulfstream out of a pick 5. But I'm a bitter man, Joe. I'm a bitter guy.
No, not you, Howard. Come on. No, I mean, Nakatomi, I went back and watched his races. He had his last couple races were really nice. I mean, I don't know. This is going to be a fairly big step up for him. He's going to be running against some monsters in here, but I think he's got a hell of a shot in here. I have him second. The horse I put on top, Lightning Larry. I went back and watched that last race, so many times. He had a trouble at the start. So be it. It didn't look that bad. I just thought he was flat. I don't know what was going on. The thing I do like is, after that race, he came back and he put in a really nice work at Monmouth coming into this race. Look, you got to make a stand somewhere. If you're, you got to use Provocateur somewhere. I'd put him third. I just think that this is such a wide open race. I wanted to try to take a shot and Lightning Larry, I just thought I throw out his last race. Like I said, he just seemed really flat. And I know Provocateur was ran a nice race there too, but I'm going to give Lightning Larry another shot here, and hopefully he can come in at hopefully some double-digit prices here. So
hey, Joseph, you know what I like
Yeah.
too, because he was sort of when I was doing my top three, I think he might have been my fourth. But I like that if you look at him, he's every time second off the layoff, he's won. So back in October of 21, May, and then now, like you said, he was a little flat in that
he
first
was
one.
just flat
For some reason, maybe that's was his thing. So I liked him. I was going pretty deep here, but he was one that I was trying to consider if I had like in that top three,
and then
it was pretty close. But that was the reason.
Yeah, and like I said, he came back with a really nice work on the 17th. I just think who knows what happened that race. Like I said, he just looked super flat. He comes back and puts in that nice work. I think he can. I think he can do some damage here. So
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pete, why don't you tell Joe and Andrew partially why you like number 3 Provocateur?
Yeah. So back on my wall back here, I have about 3 pictures of him. So I do a little bit of my racehorse stuff. So I have Provocateur, and he's just been a fun one. He's been a fun one to watch. I mean, anytime, some of these you get a 2-year-old and they crap the bed and they never even barely make it to the track. This one, even in that race, even in the Woody Stevens, for a second, I didn't have him on my ticket. And I was like, I can't believe this horse is going to beat Jack Christopher and win the Woody Stevens, and I'm not going to have him on my ticket. But he's just really come around. And I mean, just watching the updates as you do with my racehorse, he just looks like a horse that he's getting better. He loves this distance. I mean, obviously the only sort of bad race on there is losing to Jack Christopher and Papa Cap, which both of them would probably be favored in this field, or at least close to it. Well, obviously Jack Christopher would be 1-9 probably, but even Papa Cap might be. And then I really like that last one coming back. And now you're getting Irad back. Actually at a decent price, just because this field is so deep that I think everybody's going to pay a little bit. So he's one I'm definitely leaving on the ticket, and I definitely think has a good shot to win.
Guys, I see a lot of speed in this race. This race, just like the Turf Monster, to me, is a very trip dependent kind of race. I usually have very strong opinions, but I gotta say that I'm really not. I do like Nakatomi. I will say that. I'm throwing Alva Revolution in second, Flavian Pratt here for Safi Joseph. Blinkers on. I just think this horse figures to sit a very nice trip, guys. And you want to talk about workouts. And I didn't see this workout. I have to go on to XBTV and see if it's there. How about a 46-3 breezing at Saratoga? I mean, so this horse is cranked up. He's done nothing wrong. He's a little bit more lightly raced. And maybe Pratt can just sit a nice inside trip off the speed at a decent price. I think of a Revolution has been interesting. And I have the 9 in for third, running son of a gun. What's fascinating about this horse, guys, is that we really haven't talked about him. He's got the fastest buyer from the last race, and he's just an up-and-comer. I have a feeling, Joe, he's going to be overbet because people see the grade 2, the grade 1. They see Gun Knight, Jack Christopher. I don't know what it is about this horse. I think he's going to be like a bad 9-2 or 4-1. How do you feel about this horse?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think he's going to get bet. I agree. Provocateur's probably going to go off the favorite, I would assume. I don't, what I really don't know is what they're going to do with Nakatomi. I don't know if they're going to bet this horse or if they're going to let this horse go off. Could this horse get away at 6-1? I don't know.
He almost has to, right? I mean, how does he not? I mean, I don't know.
And then that means, okay, the 9 may take the money. So you're right. I mean, I on a big ticket, I would probably have them, but on a smaller ticket, I would not have the 9 on.
Well, and Provocateur is probably going to take the extra my racehorse money, so that might push. That's going to push everybody else up. The one thing with Nakatomi that I saw was so obviously Rosario and Ward, I had them at 33% wins and 67 in the money in dirt sprints, but also out of their last 5 races together, dirt sprints together, I should say, 4 wins in a second. So that combination, getting Rosario on that Ward horse is a nice combination. So it's another one it's hard to leave off.
Andrew, I think Scaramouche is going to go higher than 5-1.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't touch Scaramouche anything less than 10-1. This is just me personally. I don't know if you have a value line for this horse, but 5-1 seems awfully low in this field, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't bet anybody. I don't care who it is at the 14 hole at Parx, especially on 6 furlongs at
Yeah.
anything below 5-1.
Yeah.
I won't. That's why I said, like, if the horse is like 7, 8-1, I'll probably bet the horse to win or like a win
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
But I have to use it in the pick 5. But I have a couple tidbits on some other horses in this race. That I
Okay,
like.
real quick, Andrew, because we do have some
Yeah.
other races to
Well,
get to.
one Running Son of a Gun was Chris Griffin's horse that he thinks is the one to beat in this race. So if anybody cares about that, he kind of talked. Well, he kind of talked.
Wait, he's the track announcer, not that track handicap.
No, but he does
I'm just
handicap
kidding.
the races.
He knows horses.
And he likes that horse. But I also
Okay.
really like the 6 horse, I believe, which is Jelly Nougat. I think that's the 6.
We got to bring this horse up.
Yeah, it's a JKX Racing horse, which at Parx, they're one of the top owners right now. They have been doing this move where they take horses from trainers in Churchill or Indiana Grand or Oaklawn or wherever, and they bring it to Parx. And when they run at Parx, they always improve. It's going for Ernesto Padilla Preciado, who's on fire right now. Abner Adorno rides mostly all of JKX Racing horses. It's a good outside chance. I don't know if it can win, but it could definitely hit the board or round out a superfecta.
Andrew, I have, like I said, we've got power picks, and I put price plays on there. The ROI is over $2.50. Jelly Nougat is going to be a horse I'm talking about on my power picks this weekend. I love turnbacks. I love the workout, and I'm glad that you like this horse a little bit too. I know he's not in my top 3. This horse is a fascinating bomb underneath to use in your exotics to me at like 20-1. Totally agree with you, Andrew.
Yeah, the trainer hasn't.
You can come back on the show because you agree with me. So there you go.
The trainer hasn't been that successful first after picking a horse up, but is good route to sprints. The cutback.
Yeah.
He's actually been successful with that.
He's a newer trainer at Parx.
Yeah. It's
he hasn't been training too long.
All right, so guys, we have the next 2 big races, and Joe and Andrew, hope you can go a little bit maybe later than we said, because we love horse racing. We're talking here. We got $2 million races to talk about. So let's get into it. The picks are on the bottom of the screen. I have a very, 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 very strong opinion in this race, and I thought it was going to be a bit original until I see the picks on the bottom of the screen. I saw Andrew and Pete, and I'm like, oh, I got a clever 6-1 that I'm going to love. Maybe not so clever. Joe, let's talk about you first. Actually, let me bring up, here we go. This is the grade 1 Cotillion, restricted for 3-year-old fillies, $1 million on the line, mile and 16th. It's a very nice field of 9 and led by Secret Oath for the coach, 2-1. Saez, that's who you're going with, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look, this horse has been running. This horse has lost to Nest the last, 2 times. He was in with early voting in Epicenter, the 3 back. I mean, this is the race for Secret Oath. If Secret Oath is going to show up and finally make a real statement here, I think this is the race. I agree with you on the 1. I was trying to get fancy and pick something a little out of the box in second. I went with Society. And then, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to look for the easy out in this race. But I just think I think it's Secret Oath's race to lose here. I really do.
We won't talk about who singled Secret Oath in a big pick 5 on July 23rd and got blasted by Nest. That'd be me, by the way, folks. As I went around our table and said, should I single Secret Oath or Nest? Secret Oath or Nest? I can't remember who you said, Joe, but I obviously was completely wrong that day. She's really good. I mean, mile and 8th hits the source right between the eyes. There's really not much to say. Andrew, let's talk about the 1, buddy, because I love everything about this horse, but I guess the whole world does. So she's probably going to go off at like 2-1 or some ridiculous underlay. Talk about green up, Andrew.
Well, I was in person when she ran the Catherine Sophia last time out, and when I say that I was impressed, it's an understatement. I didn't even really like the horse going into the race, but she's
the one
popped
right here.
Yeah, she popped, and she's breaking from the same exact post today. She blew away Interstate Daydream, which that horse in itself is a very good filly. And I just think that if Irad can duplicate this trip, he doesn't even need to go to the lead. He can sit off like he did here, with this filly. But I also think that she can easily get the lead if she breaks cleanly. Irad can, shoot up the rail and whatnot, and it'll be good. But the way she kicks home out this turn is just super impressive. She improves her buyer from 86 to 100, which is incredible to do it at Parx, especially first time over the Parx surface. But she just has that type of stride that just really works at Parx. And I like that Irad rode her in the prep for the Cotillion, which was the Catherine Sophia. It was the local prep. But yeah, she was on the right part of the track, and she was never really, I don't even think she really was ever really super asked to
Nah, it was
go. I think she
geared
has a lot
down.
more in the tank. Yeah.
And
And
she was looking to the grants that she was a little bit
mhm.
green, but I sort of like that, Andrew, because I think she'll even be better this time around.
Yeah, because the crowd that day was pretty big
Oh,
for
okay.
a day. So, the crowd was loud. I believe that the connections were there that day too, so they were probably rooting pretty hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, Irad had the right trip, and I think if she can duplicate that, because on the PPs it says she was in the lead the whole way around, but you could see from the
Yeah.
replay she was sitting 3 wide and
Yeah.
third most of the race. So she definitely can sit off and make her move.
There's no way in the world this horse is going off at 6-1. But I would bet her to win for me, Andrew, as low as I think I'd bet her at 3-1 to win. To be honest, I think
Same.
if she's half that price, I'd still bet her on the win end. I love everything about this horse. Pete, you've got her on top two. You have the 7 Shahama, who I know you have a little history with, Pete, in second, who is a nice horse and consistent.
Yeah, my man
The other
Paul.
Pletcher, by the way.
My man Paul had the guts to put her on. That's me and Paul's horse. He had the guts to put her on top, probably because he's not on the show to talk about it. But it was, yeah. I had this horse in the Oaks, and I definitely had her. I don't remember if I had her in the Mother Goose as well. So this is just one where, again, I like the horse. I don't want to get beat by the horse. I always loved her kick before the Oaks. Just watching her races at the UAE, I just loved her kick and thought that would translate. And it hasn't translated exactly, but again, she gets Pratt back. She ran nice last time, so I'm hoping that maybe, and even 2 back, I thought she ran okay. Gerrymander, I think, just got a nice trip and just sort of took her heart a little bit. But I just think this one's hopefully up and coming and could maybe move forward just a bit. But again, there's so many in this race that I would want to have on my ticket. But this is one that I'd like to have at a price. And if I'm getting Pratt at a price on a Pletcher, I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay, let's get some thoughts. A-Roth is here. Apparently, the trainer on the 9 was talking to Bick, and that's Society. That's the horse that Joe has in second. They think she's going to run huge. I respectfully disagree, but that's okay.
Actually, I think that might have been
the previous
carryover
race?
from the previous race.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah, it
that
might
was
have
the
been. Yeah,
previous
yeah,
race. Okay. A-Roth likes Gerrymander. Good call, Pete. You're right about that. Well, despite that, I still don't like Society anyway, because I don't know where that number was like a typical Charlestown kind of the speed number that I don't think that's going to happen. Before we go on to the Penn Derby, I'll just give my 2 cents of this race overall, guys. I think it's a 2-horse race. I mean, you got to take a stand somewhere. To me, if it's not the one, it's going to be Joe's top choice, Secret Oath. To me, it's either Secret Oath or Green Up. I do not like Adair Manor at all, while still recognizing I'm going to use her as like a C because it's frickin' Baffert. But I think this horse was exposed once she got away from Santa Anita. And I don't know. She's going to have to run a huge race, and I suppose she can. Joe, before we go on to the Penn Derby, any thoughts on Adair Manor without taking any Baffert bias away from it?
Not really. I don't think the horse is gonna. I'm not a fan of the horse. So
Okay.
I mean, I know that last race was okay. I'm not a fan of the horse. So
I agree. Lost to Interstate Daydream, who of course Andrew mentioned. So and Green Up blew by Interstate Daydream. Andrew, final thoughts on Adair Manor or anyone else before we move on?
I know physically she's looking pretty good on the Park's backside from the people that told me that she looks like she's really coming into form. But I just don't think this horse likes to win. I don't think this horse likes to pass horses. I don't think she's I think she's very quality, good quality horse, but I don't think she's ready yet, and I don't think that she's going to be ready to pop first off the layoff.
Okay, guys, it's time for the big one. It's the Penn Derby. It's $1 million. This race has a lot of history. Of course, last year, remember a horse named Hot Rod Charlie, who had a little controversy in the race. It was very exciting. There's no Hot Rod Charlies in this race this year, but a lot of people have talked about it. I think Andrew, I saw you were one of the first people
Mhm.
that put it on Twitter. This might be the best field since Pimlico, since the Preakness. I mean,
Yeah.
other than Epicenter, you got all the big players here for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that this is probably like a top 3, top 4, arguably even top 2, 3-year-old race, pound for pound this year. I'm actually calling it the Fall Derby at this rate.
Okay.
Just because today was the first day of fall. So
I knew you were going to. I was just going to say.
but
Yep.
I think that you have 3-4 horses in here that really are just top level 3-year-olds at this rate. And I'm gonna go, if we're gonna go into picks now, I'm gonna go into my pick, which if you haven't noticed yet, I've been kind of talking about it all week on Twitter, but Tawnyport is my top pick. I love Tawnyport. I said this before the Kentucky Derby, that if there was going to be a horse that was going to be a late bloomer, it was going to be a horse like Tawnyport. I also said back then that White Abario was going to be definitely running in the Pennsylvania Derby, which was kind of obvious from day one that was just the type of horse that was going to run there. But I never expected the field to be this tough. So I do like Tawnyport a lot. I do like the other Brad Cox, which is Cyberknife. And I do like Taba. Those 3, I think, are the ones that you have to. They're the only 3 I think that really can win this race. I'm not a huge Zandon fan.
Wow.
But I do love Tawnyport, and I'm definitely going to bet Tawnyport heavy. And I think even Irad Ortiz might sweep the double here.
Okay, well that automatically means I'm not getting the 6-1 if Andrew Rdesinski is going big on Tawnyport. What kind of trip do you envision? Obviously, he's a big grindy. He's a closer. I think there is enough speed to set it up. Obviously, you agree with that.
Yeah, if he can run the same race as the Ohio Derby, he can win this race. Granted, he doesn't get Lasix, but I don't even think he really needs it. He didn't really pop off the screen when he got Lasix. But that Jim Dandy race was also very impressive. To lose to Epicenter and Zandon combined by less than 2 lengths, or like 3 lengths, maybe at pushing it, but to only lose to Epicenter by that small of a margin just shows how good you really are. And I think he hasn't even really shown his best. And I think Saturday is going to be the day that he shows his best.
And you know what also I like about this horse, Andrew? I don't think he wants to be inside. And I think he ran really well. He's a big, scopy, kind of, grindy horse. I think he's better on the outside like he was in the Ohio Derby, like you mentioned. And so, I mean, it's not like he was crowded in this race. I just feel like he's better on the outside. And like you said, if for people that like Zandon, if you like Zandon, how do you not like this horse? Because he was right there with Zandon in this race, getting a trip. He sees a little bit like tight on the inside. I think he's really good, and I love Irad, and he's kind of races, Andrew.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if this horse was on the outside of early voting, this horse gets second. And maybe even gets a jump on Epicenter, but I don't think Epicenter would have lost regardless.
No.
Epicenter could have been 10 lengths back at the start, which he kind of was that day, and still win. So I'm glad Epicenter decided to take this race off.
Joe, you're going with Cyberknife, who, I mean, what are you
one
gonna
of your
say?
favorite horses, Howard. Come on.
What? So who's Cyberknife?
I know you don't like that horse.
Well, no, listen, you're gonna get me in trouble now. Well, I want to get Cox on the show. Now you blew it for me. Thanks.
Oops.
No. I don't want to talk about. I'll wait for you guys to talk. Cyberknife is really good. He's 3-1, and he's in great form. There's no reason not to like him, Joe.
Look, he lost the Epicenter last race. He ran a hell of a race in the Haskell 2-back.
Yeah.
I just think, again, if he comes to run, I think he's got a great shot here. I'm hoping to get, I don't know what I don't know what you guys think he's going to, he's not going to go off the favorite. I don't think. I'm hoping to get 3 or 4 to 1. Maybe I'm way off on that.
It's going to be interesting.
I don't know. Are they going to bet the 8? Are they going to bet? I don't know. Is Zandon going to get money? The Baffert is probably going to get the money on the 8 Taba. But that's why I think Cyberknife we can get a half decent price on. And I also, I like what Andrew said about Tawnyport. I have him third. I really see it as a, 5-8-7, 5-7-8 race. In some supers, I might throw in the 4 Skippy Longstocking for a bit of a price. On the pick 5, I'm going to go skinny in the earlier races so I can load this race up with 4 or 5 horses. I just think if something stupid's going to happen, it might be in this race. What we see last, was it Math Wizard last year or before?
Yeah, 2 years
I
ago,
just
I think, right?
2 years ago, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's right. Hot Rod Charlie was
Right.
was last year, and then in 2020 there was nothing. Math Wizard was 2019. So I think Cyberknife is just running really well right now, and but like I said, it's 5-7-8 here, 5-8-7.
Well, I'll let you talk here, Pete. You're going with Tabo, who, again, just throwing out the whole Baffert nonsense. I think he's really talented, and there's one particular reason why I like Taba quite a bit on Saturday, even though I have him third. But go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, he came back in the Baffert barn. In the Haskell, I thought he probably was better than Cyberknife and actually probably should have won that race. My biggest concern in this race is Mike Smith back on, and who the hell knows what he's going to do for the trip there. So this one's been working. I mean, now that he's back with Baffert, he's sort of working his ass off, and as he's coming up, and he's getting some. I like the 7 furlong, 6 furlong works. He's really trying to get this horse ready. So I think he's coming here with a purpose and coming in to win. And I do think there's some speed in here that this horse can sit off of. And again, if Mike Smith just does the right thing, moves at the right time, I think this is potentially the best one. I'm with Andrew. I'm not a Zandon guy. I put him in third, but I didn't really even like him. I'm more of a Cyberknife Taba. And I do like Tawnyport. I actually think this is a fun race, and it looks deep on paper, but it's really, to me, only 4 horses that could actually win unless something really wild happens.
Pete, do you don't think Taba is going to go? Do you think he's going to sit off?
I think he should sit off because I think there's potentially some cheap speed in here.
I agree. That's what I
thought. Easy with the cheap with We the People. He crushed the Peter Pan on the show for me at 3-1 when all you guys singled him that day. And Pete and Paul, you knuckleheads, said We the People singled. And you gave me shit, and he romped that day. So easy with the cheap speed, Pete.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the fact that he's still cheap speed, and that Peter Pan race came back with a bunch of dogs and behind him.
So I guess it was that 100 and 103 buyer that turns you off, right?
Yeah, well, I don't.
Hey, they came on wet tracks. They came on wet tracks.
Yeah, we'll see what he did trying to hold off Skippy Longstocking in the last one. So I'm not too concerned about We the People, but I do hope that We the People goes to the lead and maybe B-Doc. And we had a comment earlier for the Philly guys, a little B-Doc. Get him near the lead too, and
Brian Dawkins going to be at the races that day too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'd be cool to see that happen.
Yeah, and he's built like a freaking racehorse.
Yeah, he might run in the race too.
Go tackle one of them. But yeah, that's So I'm more of a. I think because Cyberknife too. I think Cyberknife's better, just sort of sitting off. I know they take him to the top sometimes, but I think he's better just sitting off a target. So I think those two can sit off that. Not cheap speed if we want to, be nice, and that's what
that's what I'm hoping. Cyberknife is going to just sit right off.
Yeah. So, I don't like when he goes to the lead. Sorry, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, I have a one long shot that I'm going to use underneath that I just want to put out there, which was the number 10 Naval Aviator. Not a local horse, but local connections. Same thing kind of goes with the Nougat horse earlier in the Gallant Bob. Same connections today with Naval Aviator. But this horse was actually, just ran second to keep me in mind at Saratoga at a mile and an eighth. And I think this horse is just going to get better with time. I don't think he's going to be able to win this race, but he definitely has numbers that could fit underneath, and he's going to be above 20-1.
He's got a little like American Revolution kind of vibe for me, Andrew, where he's like that up-and-comer, that sort of mystery horse that could make clunk up and do some damage. I do want to mention one more thing, guys, because we don't need to talk about the last race very long. I don't think, because it's not a very lot of creative, opinions, and it's not a deep race. I personally like the fact that Tawny Port and Taba have more rest and are not coming out of the Travers. I know I have Zanin in second. I got to be honest. I probably should have him in third and have Taba in second. I don't know. I just like Zanin getting a good trip, and I think the distance works. Joe and Andrew, any thoughts on these horses not coming out of the Travers and having more time? Because the Travers, they're all gearing up for that race. That was my hesitation with Cyberknife, Joe, is that Cox said like they weren't necessarily going to go, but he's like feeling so good. I don't like that vibe at all. I don't like when
Really?
they're not like pointing to a race like this. I'm sure Cyberknife can win, but just coming off of the Travers and like they weren't necessarily going to go. This always gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
No, I get that, but I look, these horses. Look, if you're talking about an allowance race or something like that, okay, but these horses are prepped, ready to roll, and if Cox feels that Cyberknife is feeling good and is ready to go, look, I gotta believe it. I just don't think they're going to be screwing around with a horse of that caliber, especially in this type of race. I mean, look, I don't think any of these guys want to go and get embarrassed. And if they feel that the horse ain't right, the horse isn't ready, yes, it does concern me a little bit. He just came out of the Travers, maybe, but I can't see Cox sending Cyberknife if he really doesn't feel that the horse is ready to just ready to perform.
Yeah, that he can win. I'm using him, but I agree with Pete that I think Taba should have won the Monmouth race, and he ran well last time. But someone had run against Epicenter. We all are taking stands, guys, against logical horses, right? I'm
Sure.
using Cyberknife. I'm just not using him,
Sure.
as an A. All right, guys, let's get to the last race. The last race last year, I won the Alphabet Soup last year. That helped me collect last year. So there's something about this race that I enjoy. There's a horse here that, for me personally, I think is going to be tough if he gets the right trip. We're all basically going with 1, 6, and 7, sprinkled with a little bit of an 8. Andrew, I'll let you finish off this last race by going first. You're going with the 1 by Land and Sea, who is a Pennsylvania bred, but has been running an open company quite a bit and doing it pretty well.
Yeah, this horse is 2 for 2 at Parx, which is pretty good in its own, especially over the turf course. The Lupe Preciado barn's on fire as always, but very good recently. Michael Sanchez comes in to ride this horse, which is Sanchez and Preciado link up at about 24%, year in, year out. And I think that this horse has an ability to either go to the lead or sit off. I know the time form number says that this horse is going to be on the lead, but the two races that I think that really are the horses, the races that you need to look at are the Penn National race, where he did go to the lead and nobody ever tried to catch him. And I think that the race before that too at Belmont, both the New York races really are races that would win here. Second off the layoff, first time for Preciado. It's a PA bred, homebred, really. I just think this horse is going to be in the right spot and is the horse to beat. And I probably am going to single this horse in my pick 5 ticket.
Hey, Andrew, I like too that in the 2 times he did go against state preds, he kind of murdered them both times. So I sort of like that maybe that's getting back to this is, it's like, hey, this is just like the big brother coming back and just whipping on the other state breds.
Joe, you have the 7 on top. You Must Chill, a really nice 6-year-old for Jamie Ness. Are his best days behind him, Joe? That's my main question here.
They might be. This was more of a sentimental pick. I'm friends with the owners and stuff.
Okay.
It's between the 1 and the 7. I mean, that's all I'm using in the pick 5. But You're right. Yes, his better days might be behind him. I don't know what the 1. I was back and forth on if, like Andrew said, if the 1 is going to go to the lead or not by Land and Sea. He has every ability to. I don't know if he breaks well from the 1 hole, I think he should just go. I think he could just bottom this field out from there. But he does have the ability to come off. But I don't know who else. I mean, who else is really gonna go? Is the 4 the Coletti's horse? I don't know. But
Hey, Joe,
yes,
can I interrupt you? I'm sorry to
yep.
interrupt you, but your horse, you must chose the 10. I want to show the last race against the 6 because a lot of people are going to like the 6 in this race at Midnight
Midnight
Hauler.
Hauler.
Midnight Hauler is the 2 here on the inside. You must chill. The one you like is the 10. And although Midnight Hauler does come over the top late, you must chill didn't break great, which we missed, but was a little bit wide. I mean, ran perfectly fine in this race. You see he was a little bit wide and he's going to be wider again in the stretch. And Midnight Hauler, the 2, came over the top and watched the stretch run. This was like Durf, though. This is like watching Gulfstream. You must chill as the 10. Your thoughts on this race? Is this race good enough to win? Was he just too wide? How do you feel about this race in general?
Yeah, I just think he was really wide there. Again,
on the wrong lead, that's a little bit concerning for me.
Yeah, he's doing something he's not used to doing.
Yeah.
That's why I think at least that he had to come back. He had to use a lot more.
That was the 6, everyone, on Saturday, Midnight Hauler.
That was Midnight Hauler, right? Yeah, that was that was his last race, right?
That was 2 starts back, actually. Oh, for Midnight Hauler?
No, for
Midnight Hauler, that was
Midnight Hauler. That was his last race,
right?
Yeah,
not for. Or that was for both of them. I'm sorry, you're right. My bad.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? Am I wrong?
For both of them. No, you're correct, Joe.
No, you're right.
All right.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, like I said, it was more of a last race sentimental pick on top for me. So
okay, and Pete, you're going Midnight Hauler, the best. Well, the one of the 2 the best closers in the race. Is he going to get the setup? I think that's the main issue.
Yeah, that was the concern, and I think I think I agree with sort of what Andrew said. Where the one, I think it was Andrew who said the one should just sort of bottom this field, or maybe Joe said it's the one could just take this field and just go away. But I like the one thing I liked about the 6 was you see the 2 races on the turf were both wins. They're surrounded by maybe not as impressive performances on the dirt. But I like that. It maybe dirties the form up a little bit. And then I did notice that on the dam side, so it's not surprising the dam side, 5 for 24 wins and 13 for 24 in the money and turf routes. So this one has the capability, has the breeding on the backside, and has run great the last 2 times on the turf with pretty good figures that stack up against the rest of this field, and does have by far the best closing kick. If for some reason we do get some speed up front, which again is a question if the one just sort of runs away and has its own way.
Like I said, I mean, if the one breaks on top, don't you have to send him, right?
Yeah. And Michael's not going to be the one to get fancy with it. He's going to send if he has the horse.
If you break, I think you got to go there.
And the fun fact is the 7 is the reigning champion of this race. So that is the only Parx win this horse had, the only race this horse had at Parx, and he didn't go to the lead that day. Sat off, made his move.
Yeah.
Hopefully that form can come back today, but I think that the 1's going to get the trip.
I thought the 2 Stonegate might be the speed, but it's Giroux, and it's. I think the 1 can just read it. I prefer Pratt to be on the 1. Sanchez is absolutely fine, but I'm going to be like Andrew because we'll talk about our pick 5 tickets. I love the 1 in this spot. I'm going to use the 6 defensively. If it's anyone other than the 1 and 6, if your 7 wins, Joe, he'll be a C for me. I really need the 1 to probably cash a ticket, or maybe the 6. Speaking of pick 5s, guys, we're going to end Joe and Andrew. We're going to end your portion of the show with your caveman pick 5s. Now, again, everyone knows this. If you're fans of the show, these are $50 tickets. We all would like to play bigger than $50 tickets. This is it's hard to hit pick 5s anyway with a $50 budget, but this particular day, if any of us hit this on a $50 ticket, it's impressive. Joe, let's show yours first. And I need to read it off. I need to read it off, guys, because again, we have people that are going to be listening later through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., and can't see the picks. So let me read the picks for everyone, Joe. Joe's pick 5, sub $50 is 1, 2, 4 with 10, 11 with 6 with 1, 4, 5, 7, 8 with 1, 6, 7. It's a $45 ticket. Singling Secret Oath, and your biggest spread is the Penn Derby, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to make a stand somewhere. I just think Secret Oath is the for me. I just think it's the most logical. This sequence is impossible. When you sent me the email and said, I have a $50 pick 5, I'm like, Howard, come on. I mean,
we're not all lawyers, Joe. We don't all have enough money, right?
It was just like, I mean, it was interesting, but yeah, I mean, this was a shot ticket. You have to make a stand somewhere. And in that other race, in that second leg, I'm kind of making a stand also. But yeah, that's my $50 ticket for you.
All right. Yeah. Good luck. I like your ticket. Singling. There's nothing, Joe, real quick, for people that are not usually horizontal players. Some people would say, "Oh, you're singling the favorite like as your single." I don't want to get into a big discussion, but a single doesn't have to be like some creative separator 6-1. It should be your strongest opinion, no matter the odds. Would you agree with that statement?
I totally agree. And you probably have the EV police screaming and yelling at you.
Not on this show.
Good,
no
good, because I take it as, if that's your strongest opinion and you think that horse is going to win, single, and maybe play that ticket for a little bit more. I usually play multiple tickets. I'll play a strong opinion ticket, especially on a day like today when it's not a jackpot bet. There's 100,000 that's already been carried over. It's going to pay out. So you might want to look to invest a little bit more in this, and you're going to have to invest a little bit more in the sequence anyway. So
agreed. Andrew, let's take a look at your pick 5. Andrew Rdesinski's pick 5, 1, 2, 4 with 2, 3, 6, 11, 14 with 1, 6 with 5, 7, 8 with the 1 single on the end, $45. Andrew, talk about your ticket construction with this bet.
I think we're all gonna be doing 1, 2, 4 in the first leg, or at least me and Joe are.
You don't know yet. You don't know yet. You haven't seen ours.
But
Howard will come up with something crazy. So.
Yeah, right. But the Gallant Bob, to me, and I was talking about this on other shows, that's the race where you're going to get the price. That's why I went the spread there. I used the 2 of a Revolution. I like that horse underneath. It's my 4th choice. But I do like Provocateur. I do love Scaramouche. I do love Nakatomi. And I already said I like that the Nugent horse. So I had to use that one. It's going to be a price. If that one
wins,
6,
everyone. That's the 6.
Yeah, the 6. Yep. If that horse wins, then I better get the rest of this ticket home because it's going to pay pretty well. And then it's Green Up or Secret Oath for me. I like Shahama, but I can't use it on a under $50 ticket. So I had to cut that one. It's between the 5, 7, and 8 for me in the PA Derby, and I love By Land and Sea in the last race.
Beautiful. Actually, do you guys have 5 minutes? You want to stay on and talk about our pick 5s? Do you have? You guys got to go.
Yeah.
Are you good, Joe? Well, let's do it. Sometimes we take our guests off because of time, but I'll have you guys stay on. We're having a lot of fun here. Real quick, I want to show Paul's pick 5, who's not here tonight. Paul's going 1, 2 with 2, 8, 14 with 1, 2, 7 with 1, 5, 6 with 1, 6. Again, that's Paul Halloran's pick 5. And Pete, as we bring up your pick 5, can you tell the viewers what we're doing differently with our Power Picks / Race Day blog starting this week?
Yeah, for this week and going forward, we're just going to add, just because we talk a lot about our pick 5s and we talk about whether they're caveman, whether they're more sort of our A-level tickets. So Paul and I are going to include ABC grids like Howard does, just for the sequence that we talk about on the show. So then if we don't talk about a horse or we don't get into, we only talk about sort of our A-level horses, our viewers, our listeners, our subscribers will actually get a feel for what our ABC tickets would look like, which is probably closer to what we'll actually play on the day.
Pete's going 1, 4, 7 with 3, 8, 9 with 1, 2, 7 with 5, 8 with 1, 6, $54, Pete.
You notice, Joe and Andrew, the co-hosts, me and Paul, we don't give a crap about the $50 limit. We'll go over a little bit. So I was like you said, Joe, so I was having a hard enough time cutting down. So I was my thing was when I first looked at it, the only single I probably thought about having, and I wound up not even having him on top, was By Land and Sea. When I first looked, be a single, but then I really kind of like the 6. Maybe I would cut that one back and then just sort of bump the 6 to the second level. But basically, I'm not going to try. I wasn't trying to go deep. I was trying to just cover my bases in each race because I didn't like one horse more than anything. I was against Secret Oath a little bit. that was sort of a logical one. Taba I like a lot, but him and Cyberknife are pretty close to me, and I do like Tawny Port as well. And then in that last one, I really like that 6, so I just didn't want to go single, at least on this ticket here.
So I'm going to try to repeat what I did last week, guys. I hit the pick 5 on the show for everyone. Personally, I had the Woodbine pick 5 a few times. Now, Joe knows I'm famous for giving other people picks and having them cash for like 30,000. No names mentioned. Joe knows who I'm talking about. Guys, I have very, very strong opinions in this pick 5, and you're going to see by my $50 ticket. But of course, I'm playing a bigger ticket and an ABC. Guys, here is my $50 pick 5 ticket. I'm going very spready early. I'm going 2, 4, 5, 12. You see, I got the 6, Andrew, in that second leg.
There you
with
go.
2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 11. With 1. With 1, 5, 7, 8. With 1. Bam! 2 singlies. I'm singling green up at 6-1 morning line, and I'm singling the 1 on the end, which is really not that creative. But I guess if you want to call the green up a separator, fine. To me, guys, the Cotillion's a 2-horse race, in my opinion. It's either green up or Secret Oath, and I'm going to try to beat Secret Oath. And I have to spread these first 2 races because, especially the second one, I have no strong opinion, guys. So there's my $48 ticket. With 2 singles. Again, I'm using other horses going forward. Guys, as we wrap up the show, Joe and Andrew, you guys were awesome. I hope you had a lot of fun tonight. Joe, I'll let you go first. Any final thoughts for the bettors on Saturday?
It's such a great card at Parx. Hopefully, the day goes off well. All the horses come home safe. That's the most important thing. And, hopefully you can put a couple extra dollars in your pocket and don't worry about the EV police on Twitter. You bet what you want. And if that's what you like, enjoy yourself.
That's good advice. I like
that. By the way, Joe, are you going to the Breeders' Cup this year?
I won't be there. No.
You will not. Okay.
No.
And Andrew, final thoughts.
Yeah, same thing Joe kind of touched on. Like, I just hope everybody gets around safe. And everybody can, all the fans don't have to worry about seeing something they don't want to see because, these type of days, they bring in a lot of new fans. So hopefully everybody has a good time. Everybody has cashes some tickets. Hopefully one of us takes down the whole pool of the pick 5, which would be fun. Even though we all probably have the same.
Shout out to Joe there, by the way. Sorry.
What's up, Spencer?
But we all have the same ticket, so it's probably not going to be one of us that hits it. But we all have some kind of the same combinations.
Yeah, Andrew, you weren't supposed to use my 6. Now my whole now I got to change my whole ticket.
Yeah, I don't. A word of advice: don't ever leave a JKX Racing horse off your ticket. So
I will say one thing that I want to see Saturday for sure, guys, as I end the show. This is my one request for Saturday. Other than the obvious, let's make sure everyone gets back safely. Can we please track, administrators? Let's not run one effing race on top of another like last week when you had Woodbine and Churchill with big races running at the same freaking time. It is driving me crazy, guys. I know a lot of people don't like CDI, and I understand why, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you guys saw it last week. Last week it's an embarrassment, Joe, and it's only hurting racing fans. Can we please stop doing that, Joe? It's completely insane.
You're 100% right.
I mean, why do we keep punching ourselves in the face? That is completely within our control, Joe.
It's something in our control that we don't control, and it's very frustrating. You're right. You're 100% right, Howard.
Andrew, can you work something out, Andrew? How well do you know the guys there?
Hey, all I know is that we start early on Saturday at 12 o'clock or 12:05. So the first couple of races, we shouldn't have any complications,
right.
So hopefully as the day goes on, we can, have our own time slots. Usually they're pretty good with it at Parx. So hopefully they keep it up.
I had to get off my chest because last week was crazy. Anyway, guys, it's been a great show for Andrew, Joe, my co-host, Pete Visco. This has been Howard Kravitz, episode 180. Hope you really enjoyed the show, guys. Thanks a lot, our Philly boys, for coming on. We'd like to have you on again, maybe around Breeders' Cup time. We'd love to have you guys on the show if you have the time for it. Good luck to everyone. Saturday, Penn Derby Day at Parx, and we're going to be on live, by the way. Pete, we forgot to mention, We're going to be live right here on the HH Racing podcast. Maybe Joe and Andrew will be watching. We're going to be live here at 5 o'clock Eastern to cover the Cotillion and the Penn Derby. So join us live on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.